Writing Unicode text to a text file. I'm pulling data out of a Google Doc, processing it, and writing it to a file that eventually I will paste into a WordPress page. It has some non-ASCII symbols. How can I convert these safely to symbols that can be used in HTML source? Currently I'm converting everything to Unicode on the way in, joining it all together in a Python string, then doing. There is an encoding error on the last line. Unicode decode error. ASCII codec can't decode byte 0xA0 in position 12286, ordinal not in range, 128. Partial solution. This Python runs without an error. But then if I open the actual text file, I see lots of symbols like. Maybe I need to write to something other than a text file.
The file opened by codex.open is a file that takes Unicode data, encodes it in ISO 8859-1 and writes it to the file. However, what you try to write isn't Unicode, you take Unicode and encode it in ISO 8859-1 yourself. That's what the Unicode.encode method does, and the result of encoding a Unicode string is a bytedist string, a str type. You should either use normal open and encode the Unicode yourself, or, usually a better idea, use codex.open and not encode the data yourself.
Deal exclusively with Unicode objects as much as possible by decoding things to Unicode objects when you first get them and encoding them as necessary on the way out. If your string is actually a Unicode object, you'll need to convert it to a Unicode encoded string object before writing it to a file. When you read that file again, you'll get a Unicode encoded string that you can decode to a Unicode object.
In Python 2.6+, you could use io.open, that is default, built-in open, on Python 3. It might be more convenient if you need to write the text incrementally. You don't need to call unicode_text.encode, character-encoding, multiple times. Unlike codex module, IO module has a proper universal new line support.
Preface. Will your viewer work? Make sure your viewer/editor/terminal, however you are interacting with your UTF-8 encoded file, can read the file. This is frequently an issue on Windows, for example, Notepad. Writing Unicode text to a text file. In Python 2, use open from the IO module. This is the same as the built-in open in Python 3. Best practice in general, use UTF-8 for writing the files. We don't even have to worry about byte order with UTF-8. UTF-8 is the most modern and universally usable encoding. It works in all web browsers, most text editors. See your settings if you have issues, and most terminals/shells. On Windows, you might try UTF-16 if you're limited to viewing output in Notepad or another limited viewer. And just open it with Context Manager and write your Unicode characters out. Example using many Unicode characters. Here's an example that attempts to map every possible character up to 3 bits wide, for is the max, but that would be going a bit far, from the digital representation in integers to an encoded printable output, along with its name. If possible, put this into a file called uni.py. This should run in the order of about a minute, and you can view the data file, and if your file viewer can display Unicode, you'll see it. Information about the categories can be found here. Based on the counts, we can probably improve our results by excluding the CN and code categories, which have no symbols associated with them. It will display the hexadecimal mapping category symbol, unless can't get the name, so probably a control character, and the name of the symbol, e.g., I recommend less on Unix or Cygwin. Don't print /cat the entire file to your output. EG will display similar to the following lines which I sampled from it using Python 2, Unicode 5.2. My Python 3.5 from Anaconda has Unicode 8.0. I would presume most 3s would.
If you want to support the channel, please consider liking and subscribing.